Hi, my name is Benjamin Broughton, also known as Ben A51, and you're listening to Do Not Click.
You're my 30th guest.
Nice, cool.
This is my 30th episode. Big 3. With the big 3, I have also a big man with me, a colossal man, colossal size man. You're a heavyweight, right? In terms of the weight class.
Yeah, I'm heavyweight. Yeah, so open weight.
All right, let's start with how do you get the name Ben 851?
Everyone always asks me, this is such a funny story. I started social media stuff when I was quite young, and I was still taking the bus to school, so I took the bus 851, and my friend was like, why don't you just use the bus number, because he used the bus number for his own social media. So I think I was 14 or 15 at the time, so I just used Ben 851, and then it stuck with me all the way till now. Yeah, so I decided not to change it.
What sparked your passion for bodybuilding? And,
Okay.
and you're 24 this year, right?
Yeah, I'm 24.
You're 24 this year, but you're like at least twice my size. And I'm pretty in the club. I'm pretty big myself, you know. And like
not small, yeah.
and it's so intimidating to see someone like twice your size. It must be a lot of hard work, right? Of course.
Yes, bodybuilding definitely is. I'll answer your first question first. So I used to play rugby for my school, and then I managed to get into the national team. In one of the games playing for Singapore, I got injured pretty bad in my shoulder, and I had to decide between going for surgery and like doing some extreme rehab and like physio stuff. So I decided to do the physio and rehab stuff, and that's my first real time in the gym. It was my shoulder that was injured, so I had to train my shoulder, blah blah blah. So it took me about a year to recover from the injury. And I grew a lot in that year because I was basically just going to the gym for a year. When I went back to playing rugby, I got injured almost straight away. So I was kind of like, I can't do this anymore. But I enjoyed going to the gym. So I continued going to the gym. And one of my friends was like, hey, man, you're pretty big now. Why don't you try doing bodybuilding? Because, like, you can work hard. You might as well give it a shot. And then I tried doing it. I did my first show. Fell in love, actually, funnily enough, with the dieting process, like getting lean for the show. And then since then, it's just been an addiction, I guess.
How old were you when you started rugby?
Rugby, I was 14.
14. And you competed your first competition at what age?
For bodybuilding? 20.
20, wow. Yeah. Your first, but that's not like the probably younger people who competed.
Yes.
Right?
I was competing as a junior, but there's guys that start as young as 17, 18 maybe, yeah. Okay,
and just like martial arts, like 1FC or UFC, there are weight classes when it comes to bodybuilding also, right?
Yeah.
Have you been competing in heavyweight?
No.
Throughout? Or no?
I was very skinny.
You started?
When I started, I was 78 kg.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like 108, so it's 30 kg in 4.5 years maybe. Yeah.
That's a whole process altogether, right? You have to put on the weight and then you have to convert that weight into muscles.
Yes.
So that's what I want to get into. For casual people who are listening to the podcast who know nuts about putting on muscle or whatever. So that's where you come in. You're here to enlighten us.
Alright, putting on muscle isn't that difficult actually. Basically, if you think about it, you just need to give the body a reason to put on the muscle, which is why you don't even have to essentially go to the gym per se. You just have to do something that's physically challenging for you right now, and then the body will be like, okay, I'm too weak to do this task, so therefore I need to put on muscle. And that's the training part. And then you have the food part. The food part is you have to eat enough to grow. So you need to eat enough to recover from the training, mainly from your protein.
Mass gainer?
Mass gainer would be for people who have small appetite. Yeah, so which was me when I was younger, but now it's changed. Yeah, so if you have a small appetite, then mass gainer definitely helps. But if you can eat, I always tell guys to just eat normal food, like eat
Burger
real
King.
food. Oh, maybe not Burger King, yeah. But
I mean proper healthy food.
Yeah, like proper food. Yeah.
Alright, but in terms of bulking, you can't just like eat, right? You still have to train.
So you definitely need to train. So it's a process whereby you give the body a reason to put on muscle. That's from the training, and then you feed the body enough to recover from that training, and then you rest. So you either you sleep or whatever, which everyone does, and then you grow. It's a slow process, but it's not too difficult. Yeah.
Okay. What if someone is like really short? Is there a certain weight that he shouldn't go beyond because he'll be too...
Yeah, it depends on the look he wants to achieve. So in bodybuilding, most of the bodybuilders are not very tall. I'm considered very tall for a bodybuilder because the shorter you are, I wouldn't say easier, but the earlier you start to look big because your limbs are shorter. So if you put on 10 kg on someone who's half my height, it's going to look like 20 kg on me.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
So
they don't have to put on as much muscle per se. But going back to your question, I have friends who are much shorter than me and they kind of train with me. And by the time, like, we are almost the same age, and they look huge for their height, but they also look a little bit stocky. Yeah. So it depends on the look, but they like it. They like it. So, but I know people who don't. So it really depends on what look you like. Yeah.
In terms of bodybuilding, there's a whole culture itself in Singapore, right? There's a whole community. There's like a group of people who are just, they train together and then they help one another train and all that. Were you aware that there was a community before you got into bodybuilding?
Actually, I didn't really know. I'm quite lucky. When I started, one of the ex-Mr. Singapore's power of social media, right? He was on Instagram, and I used to stalk him like crazy. So I messaged him and asked him for help. And I was a nobody at the time, and he was willing to help me. So he gave me really good advice. And then I kind of became his friend and got into his circle, like you said, his community. And his community is a really, really good community. I made the right friends at the start. And since then, I think that makes a big difference because I was young when I started bodybuilding. So the influence and, the things they tell you help you a lot when you're young. Like you said, there's many communities, and there's actually quite a lot of people that go to the gym regularly, that bodybuild and stuff. And as a young boy or someone who is starting out, I think the advice you get from your older friends who are doing it for a while now is very important. I know some of my friends who unfortunately have been advised kind of wrongly. There's no real money in this sport, and you have to do it because you want to do it. Like, you will lose money doing it. You spend money on food, and you spend money on your training, your gym.
It's not cheap, right?
Yeah, it's not cheap, yes. But you must understand that to do the sport, you need to settle other aspects of your life to have that money to spend. Yeah, so some people, they go crazy about bodybuilding, and they end up...
They get their priorities wrong.
Exactly, yeah, you got it right, yeah. So and then they end up, struggling in other aspects. But yeah, they might be a great bodybuilder, but they basically got no money.
Is there anyone who's doing bodybuilding full-time in Singapore?
Not to my knowledge. I know there's a few guys who are very, what's the word? Focused, I would say. I'll be positive. Focused on bodybuilding, and they kind of jump job to job because every time they have a competition, bodybuilding becomes their number one
priority,
thing, and they actually stop work.
Yeah, they have to make time for it. I used to
work, with a bodybuilder, a local bodybuilder who would not work for 2 months before his show. Yeah, but no employer's gonna wanna.
Well, that's dedication right there.
Yeah,
dedication.
It's definitely like I respect him for doing that because it's not easy. But what I mean is,
he goes for his dream.
Yeah, he does. He's really chasing it. Yeah.
Wow. And just like any other sport, when it comes to community, there are good people and there's also like bad apples.
Yeah.
And all that, right? I mean, I know it's not like about not getting along, but
I think
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think the main thing is actually just because we have to share the gym, and there's not enough space. So all these these memes and stuff come about. It's just very, very different styles of training, different looks as well. And if you look at
different goals,
very different goals, right? So bodybuilding, like, to be fair, bodybuilding is very
aesthetic
non-functional.
Yeah.
Like I always tell my guys who are serious about it, I'm like, look, the main goal of bodybuilding is to look as good as you can. So I want my muscles to be as big as possible. I want this shape, blah blah blah, whatever. There is the judge does not care if you're strong, weak, fit, unfit. They don't care.
And doesn't mean that you have a lot of muscle doesn't mean you're strong as well.
Exactly,
it's
really
a misconception.
I mean, you definitely will be stronger than someone that has no muscle,
but
it doesn't mean that a guy who has huge arms.
A power lifter and a bodybuilder is also two different things.
Exactly. So I think that's where the CrossFit thing comes about, because powerlifting is kind of in the middle. You don't really have small or like strongman kind of example. They're all kind of big as well. They just might not be as lean as bodybuilders. So but CrossFit is the complete opposite. Like a CrossFit guy might not even look like he goes to the gym when he wears normal clothes if he doesn't take his shirt off, right? But he would destroy a bodybuilder in any
in terms of functionality,
that type of workout. Yeah. Whereas a bodybuilder, everyone knows he's a bodybuilder when he walks on the street. But like, if he had to do what they do in terms of like even half of a CrossFit workout, most of myself included, most of us would die. Yeah.
But it's possible if you want to be in between. You want to be big, but you want to be functional at the same time. Is it possible?
It definitely is. And again, it depends on how much you're chasing a particular goal.
What you want.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no elite level CrossFitter that's gonna sacrifice being a certain level of fitness for bigger size, because they don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever size they are, it's just whatever size they are. And the same can be said for like elite level bodybuilder. He doesn't care if he's strong. He just wants to be big. Yeah.
Okay. Seeing that it's fasting month now, and I'm fasting as well, I'm sure you get this question a lot, right? How do bodybuilders maintain their physique during fasting month? When it comes to fasting, is there still a way to put on muscle? So we wake up at 5 a.m. and then we break fast about 7. So there's no water and food essentially in between. Yeah.
So when you look at building muscle or holding on to muscle, depending on what someone's trying to do, is actually just mainly calories in, calories out for the day. So fasting makes it difficult because we're just used to sleeping at night. And what my Muslim friends do is they get in a huge meal in the morning. So they wake up, maybe 4:45, 4:30, have their liquids and then eat. And then they start their fast. And you try to not be overly active when you're fasting. That can make you lose muscle. So if you have an active job, you're kind of in trouble in terms of you're just looking at your progress. But if you could, like try and sit down, rest and stuff, don't go out in the sun, stuff like that, that would help a lot in terms of not losing muscle. And then when you break fast at the end of the day, again, it's always liquids first. Make sure you're hydrated so that you can absorb your food. And then they have their food and they eat till late in the night. So for example, on a normal day, if you're having 4 big meals, if you can still squeeze in 1 big meal in the morning and 3 at night, you're basically eating the same thing in a day. It's just that your timings are different. Yeah,
the offset is different.
So that way, most of my Muslim friends who are strict about it can still hold on to muscle or even build some muscle because they'll train at night as well. But it is a lot more inconvenient for sure, right? So, and I really respect what they do because I've tried to do it with one of my Muslim friends before, and the food part is fine for me, but I was like
the training part,
the water and the training.
Yeah, actually, to me, it's not so much the hunger; it's more so the thirst.
Yeah, the thirst. Yeah. I was struggling with the thirst. So like, really respect to everyone who goes to the gym still when they're fasting. It's like big. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
So, what kind of supplements do you think can help in this regard? I'm sure BCAAs is quite important.
Yeah,
also, right?
So amino acids will definitely help. I think one thing a lot of guys forget is that healthy fats help a lot. So there's like this thing called MCT oils and fish oils as well. So when you fast, the best thing about fasting in terms of if you're looking at the positives is that your
cutting
digestion.
Fat. Do you look at it as your cutting weight?
It depends on what they want to do in that time period. So like some of my friends are going into competition after this, so it's quite useful in terms of the fasting helps you, to lose fat. But if you're trying to bulk up, it's a little bit more tricky just because it's harder to eat, and that's where the healthy fats come into play. Fats slow down your digestion, slow down the release of amino acids and stuff. So without getting too technical, if you have a very high fat meal in the first meal of the day, so the one at 5 a.m., that will help you stay fuller and not lose muscle throughout the day. And then you try and have faster digesting stuff in the evening so that you can absorb all of it before you go to bed. That's basically it, yeah.
When it comes to for you to go into competition, whether you're on peak or you're off peak, what are some of the essential supplements that you take?
For me, I'm basically taking...
I'm pretty sure protein is a must, right?
Yeah, so...
Whey protein.
I actually take protein powders because I really like the flavor of the one I have, because I actually can eat enough now, so it's no longer a need, but I enjoy it. What I find a need is multivitamins, because most of our food nowadays is not amazing in terms of the quality unless you spend a lot
nutrition wise.
Yeah, so I take multivitamin, I take multi-mineral. Those two things I take basically throughout the whole year. Those are probably the only things I would say are needs in terms of like it would benefit everyone. Other things that could really help is amino acids. That usually helps a lot of people because most people struggle to get enough amino acids from their meats. They don't eat enough meat. And probably if you're trying to burn fat, then fat burners actually do help a lot. But one thing people forget is that there's caffeine inside. If you're someone who drinks a lot of coffee already, it's going to affect your sleep and your adrenal glands. So yeah. And
looking at different type of protein, would you agree that casein works well for fasting month?
Yes, definitely. So anything that's slower digesting is going to help you a lot. You want to keep your blood from being empty, basically. So anything that's slower digesting means it releases slowly, blah, blah, blah. I would basically advise everyone who can digest it to have casein instead of whey if they were fasting. Mm-hmm. The amount, though, is quite person-to-person dependent. Like I know some people who can take 2 scoops and they're fine, 3 scoops and they can't digest it because casein is a little bit harder to digest. Yeah. So that depends on the person. But yeah, casein is definitely better than whey. Is there such thing as taking too much protein? Protein powder? Yeah. Yes, for sure. And that will again depend on digestion. When I say that, I'm talking about the misconception of people say that it will hurt your kidneys. Yeah. So yes and no. Yes is you have to have a pre-existing condition, which means your kidney must not be working optimally even before the protein. Okay. No, because if it was working optimally, they've done studies, like human studies, and the equivalent would be you could basically drink a whole tub a day, right, and still be fine. So I don't know anyone that drinks a tub a day, so yeah. Okay, so for yourself, what is your diet like from morning to night? How many meals you eat per day? Okay, mine's kind of... Is this something that you can disclose or...? Yeah. Okay. Mine's just kind of extreme, so I wouldn't advise people to follow like the average guy. Okay. So when are we talking about off-peak or on-peak? Yeah, I'll give you both because they're both quite different. Right. So right now I'm dieting for a show in 10 weeks. So I have about 7 smaller meals a day. So I wake up straight away. I wake up about 5+ most days. So straight away I have a meal, and I'm basically eating every 2.5 hours.
Okay, so the first meal, what is it? What's inside the first meal?
I just have eggs. So I have like maybe 6 whole eggs, like soft
6
boiled
whole eggs. Wow.
Yeah. And then I have my next 4 meals are pretty similar in terms of they're either rice or pasta with lean meat, which means like a white fish or a chicken breast. And I add vegetables if I'm more hungry. I don't have vegetables if I'm not too hungry.
Do you steam or do you air fry?
I
or
sous vide. I sous vide my chicken breast. Fish is kind of baked, just easier. And then towards the end of the day is when I have my higher fat meals, mainly because of what I explained in the fasting. So I have salmon or steak in my last 2 meals. So yeah, depending on what I can get actually. So I like both. So they both taste good to me.
So that's on peak?
That's when I'm dieting for a show. And
Okay.
then the amounts, so those meals will stay the same. And then as I get closer to the show, I still keep the same number of meals, but the amount in each meal kind of gets less. So from 6, I might drop to 5 eggs, 4 eggs, and 2 eggs, like 1 week before the show. Yeah, stuff like that. And then when I'm trying to grow, I have 11 meals a day.
Wow.
But 2 of them are like liquid meals. So like, like mass gaining shakes, for example. Like I might start my day with like 10 eggs. I have the equivalent of 2 plates of chicken rice outside in 1 meal, and that will be 6 meals of that. So that will take me up to 7 meals.
Wow.
And then during training, I have 1 liquid meal while I'm training. After training, I have another liquid meal, so that's 9. And then I have 1 huge fat meal before bed, so that might be 600 grams of steak. And then I wake up in the middle of the night to have 1 meal.
Oh, you really calculate the nutritional intake for each meal, right?
Yeah,
so make
so
sure
I
you
have-
don't exceed.
So I have a coach, an international coach that helps me out. Basically, I send him photos once a week, and I call him, video call him, or message him. And he's like, okay, you're looking, blah, 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 eat more, eat less, or, change this meal, change that meal. But, like, I have the main skeleton. That's basically what I eat. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's a lot of food. Yeah.
All right. Before we get to your cheat meal, let's talk about the training. How many times do you train in a week?
If I'm dieting down so it's kind of like, there's 2 answers again. So if I'm trying to grow, it's actually as many as I can handle. So I usually start at about 14 times a week. So twice a day.
Twice a day?
Every day.
Wow.
And then usually I back down from that. So I might start to be like, okay, I'm getting tired. Like I can't train as hard. And then I'll take out a Sunday. So I might train 12 times and rest Sunday. Or I might take out the evening sessions on some of the days. Yeah, so that's usually how it starts. When I'm dieting down for a show, so trying to lean out, I don't train as much. I train 7-8 times a week. So I might have
That is still a lot.
1 or 2 double days and then 1 rest day, something like that. Yeah.
And how do you break down which part of your body you train in a week?
Okay, so I train my weakness the most. So my chest is my lousiest body part, like bodybuilding wise. So I train my chest minimally twice a week, all the time. And then like my shoulders are pretty good. Like
So 1 body part per session?
Yeah, I do 1 body
Or
part per session.
1 body part per day?
Per session.
Per session, okay.
When I'm dieting down, it becomes per day because I only train once per day most of the time. But when I'm bulking, then like sometimes it's 2. So I might do in the morning. I might do arms. In the evening, I might do like my legs or something. Yeah.
So how much squats do you do in a week?
I only do it once a week.
Okay.
Because it's very like it's a tough exercise. It's one of those exercises that really taxes your body. So if I did it twice a week, like, I find I can't recover in time for the second session.
And deadlifts as well. Do you still do deadlifts?
So squats once, deadlifts once. Yeah.
Okay, and that's probably like the staple, right? It's a must for every.
I wouldn't say for everyone. If you don't have an injury, then yes. But some guys have injuries, so then you can't do it. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you make sure that you're proportionate?
Oh man, this is a tough question. So in bodybuilding, it really is. There's two answers. The first answer would be
look in the mirror.
Yeah, you look in the mirror and kind of listen to what judges say when you compete. And the second one would be you kind of go by how you like to look. So sometimes judges want you to look a certain way, but you must remember that this is your body, right? So, and that's another thing with social media now. If you look a certain way, which might not be the ideal, but you're popular enough and people like you, and people start to like your look. Yeah, so and then you start to get rewarded for that look in a show. So it's really hard to have one answer. So it's kind of like there's that ideal that judges look out for, like on the scoring sheet they'll have this that shoulders like this, arms like that.
Oh,
like this.
okay.
But there's been instances whereby this guy's really popular and he has a very different look from the ideal, but he looks really good as well. And because he's so popular, people will be like, I want to look like him.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that becomes the benchmark.
Yeah, so basically, like for example, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? He actually wasn't the ideal, but because he was so charismatic and looked so good, everyone's kind of like, nah, I want to look like Arnold. So he becomes
The benchmark.
the new benchmark,
The standard. Okay,
yeah.
wow. What does your family think about this? Like when you started, like
My mom's pretty cool actually. So when I started, they were kind of like, okay, you know, you're gonna do bodybuilding. They didn't think I was so serious. And then when they saw me dieting and really struggling at home, you know, and like all the things I go through, they're like, wow, okay, you're really serious. So my mom's always been like this.
she helped
like,
you food prep?
Yeah, my mom helped me a lot at the start. Without her, I would have not been able to even do my first show. She cooked for me, you know, and stuff like that. She said, okay, if you want to do it seriously, make sure you do it well. That's just how my mom is. You know, if you want to do something and you seriously, make
100%.
Sure you go, yeah, 100%. So that's been ingrained to me from young. So it's helped a lot. They were actually, compared to some of what stories I've heard, my parents are quite supportive. You must remember they have to allow their son to stand on stage in like underwear, right? Basically, from their point of view.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm trained so hard, so when I'm on stage, there's no shame. But like for them, and I come from quite a conservative Catholic family. Yeah. So it's kind of, they're like, what? You're gonna put brown stuff on your body? Someone's gonna oil you, and then you're gonna stand.
Bronze. What is it called?
It's a bronzer. It's a bronzer. It's to
Bronzer,
catch
yeah.
the light. Yeah. But like my mom didn't understand any of that, but she was still supportive in terms of, she's like, she saw that I was really trying my best. So she's like, if you're trying your best, then I'm okay. So I'm quite lucky that way.
But it goes off when you shower, right?
Yeah. You can.
I mean, pardon my ignorance. I've never
No,
competed.
yeah.
All right. So, what about your relatives when they come to like Chinese New Year? They're like, "Oh, wow, your arm's so big,
that
boy."
actually happens a lot. Like, so my grandma, and
Like,
my,
a
the
lot of
older,
touching here and
they
there.
ask you to flex for them, and they squeeze you, and but you get used to it. You know, when I was younger, it was kind of nice, and I was like, oh my, everyone's looking at me. But now it's kind of like, okay, I know you guys are gonna do this, so yeah, just get ready.
Every year is a routine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What about going into a club? Do people like look at you like, oh, this guy is huge?
I don't actually club. That's the thing. So because of bodybuilding, I can't. I don't drink,
you
right?
don't
So
drink at all.
I've gone out with my friends, like with my one of my better friends' birthdays, and I'll go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you get lots of stares. Some people are quite standoffish because I don't know, just because I'm big. Maybe.
Yeah,
Some
a
people
bit
are very,
jerkish.
very friendly.
Yeah.
So it's just your luck, I'd say.
Do you have girls approaching you to get your number or whatever? I know you have a girlfriend or whatever, right?
Yeah. So my girlfriend's kind of fierce. So.
But do you
still?
still?
Because my girlfriend's usually with me.
But do you still get approached sometimes? I don't know.
Not in person. No. So quite lucky that way.
Right. So when you're in a gym training, people like still walk up to you, hey, how, asking you for advice.
Yeah. And that's actually quite cool. It's one of the things I like a lot. I know some guys don't. I like I said earlier on, like I was quite lucky that the Mr. Singapore helped me. His name's Adrian. So I try to help guys whenever
you're willing
I
to
can.
give it forward.
Yeah, and it's not so much about. I think it's more of, I just don't want some of the younger guys to get the wrong idea of bodybuilding, or get taught the wrong way.
You don't want to give the impression that all bodybuilders are jerks.
Like selfish or
Jerks or
like
whatever.
arrogant or whatever. So I try my best. Yeah, so I've been told that when I train I look scary, like because I'm like focused, but so I try to smile at guys and stuff so that they are not shy if they want to ask me questions.
Okay, all right. So what's your favorite cheat food? Like when how many?
Are you ready for the list?
The list. How many cheat meals do you have in? Okay, for me, I try to cheat at least once a week, and to me that's like still quite
sustainable
right? Because like you are like training the whole week, and then like, oh, I have this one particular day, and I want to make sure that I have the most perfect cheat meal.
I'm pretty similar to you when I'm not preparing for a competition. So I would allow myself 1, maximum 2, depending on if there's an event, like a friend's birthday or something, a week, and I would always have it with friends. I'm quite a social guy, so and because when I'm preparing for comps, I have to say no to all these events if it's too close to the show. So when I'm not, I try to meet my friends, and I catch up with my old friends and have my food with them. You
go to these events, it's easy to just let go, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so whatever.
You have to plan for it.
The discipline is great.
Yeah, when I'm preparing for a show like now, it actually depends on my coach. So I don't have a fixed cheat. How many days more, or how many instances. He kind of looks at me and he's like, all right, you've earned yourself one because you're ahead of schedule. Or he's like, nah, you still look fat, man. Like, sorry, no cheat for you.
Okay. What's the longest you've been without having a cheat meal?
Longest, I think it's about 6 or 7 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was, that was tough. That was really tough.
Like after that, like you had like one loaf of bread and you just cry because it tastes so good.
Your taste buds actually changed. You're actually right. Like, so that period I didn't have any sugar at all. So no sauce in my food and stuff. So we went out to eat, went with my girlfriend and some of my friends. and we had I like pasta, so we had pasta, and I was like, oh man, this is like the best pasta I've had.
Yeah.
And some of them were like, no, this one actually doesn't taste that great, and I was like, it tastes great to me. And then we went for dessert, right? And I remember when I had that I like waffles, like yes, we had like waffles and brownies and ice cream, and I was like, I was in heaven, man. I was like, yeah, my taste buds are on fire. But yeah, so I think it changes, like if you don't have it long enough, but. Yeah, I don't want to go 6 or 7 weeks again. That's really long. Yeah.
When it comes to for you putting on as much muscle as possible,
Yeah.
do you just for each workout as heavy weight as you can go as possible, or do you still go slightly lighter just so you can do more reps? What do you think is more productive?
Well, if you look at it in terms of the best way for anyone to put on muscle, it definitely is the heavier the better. Assuming you're doing the movement correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only issue with that is you pick up injuries on the way, so it's kind of you have to balance your cost and benefit thing. So I've got quite a few injuries now because I used to go really heavy when I started and not with the best form, right? So I can't go heavy on everything now. So you have to be smart with your training. That would be my advice in terms of if you're comfortable and strong in that movement and go heavy. But if you're not 100%, then you have to hold back a little bit and be happy with maybe growing slightly slower, but in the long run, growing more because you didn't have to take time off because
You
you
have
got
to take a look
injured.
at the bigger picture, right?
Exactly, yeah. Take a look at the big picture, yeah.
What is some of your favorite workouts that you've done?
Oh, so my coach is the pioneer of this type of training called giant sets, which is basically you do a minimum of 5 or 6 exercises back to back, and there's no maximum. So when he came to Singapore and he trained us in a group, we did a workout for legs, and it was 18 exercises back to back. So
No rest?
no rest. Yeah.
Wow.
So the science behind it is that even though you get weaker as you go from one exercise to the next, the muscle, the effort level is still extremely high. We could start, with heavy squats. You could end with bodyweight lunges in the 18th exercise, and your body weight will feel like super heavy because your legs are dead, right? That was really fun because it's really tough, and I challenge anyone to try it out. But it kills you. Like I couldn't walk for a few days, kind of thing. Yeah,
Wow.
so it really is, and you grow from it because the stress on the muscle is tremendous.
The progress you see is a lot.
Yep.
What do you think is some of the things that people are doing wrong from your eyes when you see people at bodybuilding?
I think the main thing would be not being patient, and I've been guilty of this myself. If you think about it, guys always say I've grown a lot since I've started, right? So that's 4 years, that's 30 kg, right? So if you count the number of, that's 48 months and 30 kg. So each month is like, 700 grams. But if someone gains 700 grams in 1 month, they're not happy.
That's
Right? If you think about it that way,
yeah.
if you have a friend who says I'm bulking and I'm trying to grow muscle, right? And he gains 700 grams in 1 month. He's like, I'm growing so slow. I'm growing so slow. And they try to do things to speed it up. But 700 grams in 1 month is a lot already. So it's very hard to be patient. I get it. But the main thing is when people try to rush or, you get injured or, you do the wrong thing, you take too many subs. And so there's lots of things that can be done wrong. And they usually stem from being impatient with it's a long, bodybuilding's not a short game. It's a long game. Yeah, so you have to learn to be patient. Yeah.
And also another misconception is like when you perform on stage, people think you look like that all the time, which is
No,
not true, right?
I wish.
Yeah, because that's where you're at your driest, where you've lost all your water.
Yeah,
and
so
all
you would
that.
understand this because we have to cut weight. So it's similar to how
boxing,
and MMA, they make weight for. So
yeah, but there's a big difference between both of that, right?
yeah. There is the ways we do it. Certain things are similar, certain are different. But like
basically, you just cut as much water from your
so
body.
you drink extra, then you pee, then you don't drink. You
Yeah.
might go into the sauna. You might wear stuff to make you sweat, stuff like that. So
But for a fighter, they have to retain their energy.
Yes.
Like for you, but for bodybuilder, you can be as
as long
you
as
can
you
go
can
all
still
out.
pose, you're
Yeah.
okay. It's a performance, right? A
Yeah.
lot of people don't like to say this, but bodybuilding, you're performing. So I just have to smile. I have to when I go backstage, I'm like lying on the floor and I'm dying. But when I'm in front of the crowd, I have to smile,
Yeah.
pretend I'm like feeling good. Yeah.
When you are on stage, what do you think are the judges mainly looking out for? Of course, I'm pretty sure it's the overall package.
Yeah.
Your appeal and then your
The main thing, of course, there's size, so like how much muscle you have. There's conditioning, which translates to how lean someone is, so how devoid of body fat they are. And then there's symmetry. So symmetry is a big deal nowadays, which is your legs and upper body, are they a similar size? Your left to right, front to back. So that's one of the things. And then there is posing as well now. So how well you pose, because the judges only see what you show them, right? You might have this really good body part, but the way you stand doesn't show off the body part well. That's as good as not having a good body part. The judges can't see it, so posing is a big deal now. Yeah.
All right. You do all this work to count your calories.
Yeah.
Right. So make sure that maybe in a day you eat X amount of calories. So when you train, how do you make sure that you are working out, as much output as you want?
I track my workouts as well. So I have, for example, let's say I'm going to do 4 sets of deadlifts for 12 reps at 100 kg.
So do you calculate how much calorie that workout burns?
I've done it before, but it's really troublesome. So I kind of just go by whether I'm doing the same amount of workload or not. So I'm doing like this workout A, right? And the next time I train, I'm going workout A.1. I'm just going slightly heavier or maybe a few more reps. So I'm progressing that way. That's mainly how I track. I guess you could calculate calories from your workout, but it would be really difficult because you have to calculate how much you lift the bar and how long and stuff like that. So it'll be a lot of calculation. I've done it once before, but it took me a long time.
In terms of progress, how long do you think it should take for you to add an additional 5 kg or additional 1 kg?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So just so you can...
Beginners grow very quick. So when I was new, I would add, for example, like you said, 100 kg. Let's say I was lifting 100. I would add 2 to 3% every time I train. So that would be 102, 103, and then next time it's 105, 107, 108. When you get more advanced, also because your weight is more, so instead of lifting 100 now, I might be lifting like 150. I'm not going to add 2 to 3% of 150 anymore. It's more like 1%, 0.8%. So you still progress, but the rate at which you progress is slower compared to when you start. So it's a hard question to answer.
There should be a limit also, just so you don't get injured, right?
Some guys are born strong. There really is genetics that come into play, which is why you have world-class athletes and stuff. Some guys just can, some guys can't. But yeah, there is a limit for most guys. Your body generally limits you based just to be safe in terms of after a while you get stuck. Like if not someone who started training at 15 and is training till he's 50 years old would be super strong, right? But he probably stopped getting stronger when he was like 35. There is a limit to how strong you can get, yeah.
Okay, you mentioned genes. How much does that really come into play when it comes to bodybuilding?
It's huge actually, because for bodybuilding, I just now described the size, the conditioning, the symmetry, the shape. The only thing I would say that is not really affected by genetics much is conditioning, which is the body fat, because that's just how much you're willing to suffer. But your size, a lot of it is like genetically. Black guys usually are very big arms. Like,
yeah,
it's just a fact. Like they train and they just grow really quick.
The idea of this is because back in the days, they were slaves, so that's why they, down the line.
I believe that they're just physically better. Even when I was playing rugby, like all these guys, they're stronger, they're faster, they're bigger. They're better. Now in bodybuilding, they have bigger arms, they grow quicker, they're stronger than me as well.
Look at the fastest runner, Usain Bolt, boxer Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson.
They're just better.
They're just
they really
athletically gifted.
So genetics comes into play a lot. It doesn't mean like if you should give up, but
you should just work extra harder.
But when you're at my level now, which is I'm still considered an amateur, like slightly not beginner but just an amateur. It doesn't matter that much because none of us are really that good yet. But when you're at the pro level, like you really see the difference. Like man, that guy, they've both been working really hard and they have so many professionals to help them. But this one guy is just better because it's just genetics. It's just
What's the difference between professional bodybuilding and amateur bodybuilding?
So you have to win specific shows as an amateur to be professional. So as an amateur, you can climb the ranks by winning some smaller shows, and then you get invited to compete, or you have to qualify to compete.
You can just join the
you
professional.
Can't. And then when you're competing, so it's like, the equivalent would be like you have a title fight of an amateur title, and you win that fight, for example, and then you would become a pro now. So you start off as the low level in the pro league. And then you work your way up again, and then you qualify for the best thing if you reach.
So how about female bodybuilders? When it comes to judging, is it the same as what the judges look out for?
If it's bodybuilding, yes, but female, they also have other categories. So they have bikini, they have figure, they have physique, and they all kind of... So bikini is very, I would say, caters to the mass market. So, it's how womanly they look. You look at their butt, you look at their whether they're lean and around the stomach, how their shape of their body, they count their face into judging. So like they have to look good, and they like them to flip their hair, stuff. So very girly stuff. And you go up to figure. Figure is basically bikini with a little bit more muscle. So so like a very sporty version of bikini. So an athletic version of bikini. And then you go up into physique, and physique's the part whereby some people don't like it anymore because it's an even more muscular version of figure. So they actually start giving you more points for being bigger. So once they start doing that for females, then some girls really try to get quite big because you get more points, right? And that's where people be like, no, that girl's too big. And then, of course, bodybuilding is basically the same as men's, like as big as you can, as lean as you can. So that's what a lot of people are unable to appreciate. But yeah, that's how they do it. Yeah.
In terms of your body parts, only your abs you can't control. You mentioned symmetry earlier, so not everyone is born with symmetric abs. Right,
Yeah.
Like a lot of people
one
are
side's
like,
higher than the other. Right?
Yeah.
That's
So
got a lot to do with your spine.
you can't
So,
do anything about that, right?
You can't. So that's another thing that you could call that genetics.
Does it-
You're born with it, right? It
Would you? Does
yeah.
it? Do you get points deducted when you're?
You don't. But if someone has, so let's say you have 100% symmetrical abs, and I have, like one side's higher than the other, and we're both the same size, our arms are the same, everything else is the same, you will win.
Okay.
So it is. You could call that genetics. That's what I mean by genetics. Sometimes you just can't beat genetics. Yeah.
Wow. From where you are now, where do you go from here?
So I'm at the point whereby I'm trying to turn pro. So I'm trying to win those bigger amateur shows and turn pro. I have a competition in 10 weeks in Vietnam, and then in another 4 weeks in the Philippines, and then 4 weeks after that in Macau, 2 weeks after that in China, and then 6 weeks after that in Philippines again.
Wow. So
So
you're
that- so
constantly
That's
training.
if I choose to do all the shows. Those are the shows that I can go for the rest of this year.
Okay.
I might not. I'm definitely doing the Vietnam show. We'll see how the others go. I just need to win any one of these shows, and I'm pro. But that's what everyone's trying to do, right? So the standard's really high.
Wow.
So we'll see.
But you stand a really good chance, right?
I like to think so. I believe if nothing comes up in my prep in terms of like with work or my family or whatever, I don't get injured again, I should win. I think I'm ready. I think I've done the work. But like I said, you all you can do is like you can be your best, and then if someone comes in and they're better, then you just try again. But I think my best is enough. It's just about bringing my best now for this next show. So we'll see.
Last few questions. What would your advice be for aspiring bodybuilders?
Be patient. Get a mentor that has done it before, right? Not just a guy at the gym. Someone who's actually done some bodybuilding before, done a show. Spend money on your food. I see a lot of guys that spend a lot of money on supplements and clothes and all the bad side of social media, I would say. All the image side.
The glamour.
You have to spend money anyway, but spend it on your food, because that's basically the phrase "you are what you eat" is very accurate in bodybuilding. So yeah, that would probably be my top 3.
Parting words for listeners. Where can they find you on social media?
So my Instagram is Ben851. I'm quite active on there.
That bus that still exists. SMRT. SMRT should
still
sponsor
does.
you.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is called Ben the Chubby.
YouTube channel. Oh, you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, which I'm only quite active leading up to my shows. Like now, I start taking videos of workouts with friends and like how I do my
Interesting.
diet and stuff. When I'm off season, I don't really do much videos, so it's kind of dead and then it's alive again. Yeah, so that's basically what I use. Yeah.
Wow, it's quite enlightening. You brought a lot of information to the table.
Thank you.
I hope people listening can really find this very useful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man,
Thank
for
you.
coming all the way.
Thanks
All
for
the way
having
here.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.